The environmental movement has been for years trying to be credible. And I think what we need to do now is be incredible.
Do we want to sustain what we have into the long term? I don't think so. Do we want to build resilience so that we're able to live and look after ourselves into the future and provide a healthy environment for our children and our children to grow up in?
Don't forget that we all of us who are here today have 2 feet. And if we put one foot in front of the other, we get somewhere. And we decide the direction ourselves. So just go for it.
There are things on this earth I don't want to believe. No famine, no war, no pain or disease. Oh, everything's rosy, it's no surprise. Just give me the wool, I'll pull it over my eyes.
Peak oil is a great driver, and climate change has so much awareness now. Unfortunately, in our society, there's so much awareness of the issue of climate change, but hardly any awareness of the responses we need to make, especially at the community level. And as we all know, that the responses won't just be technological responses, which is where most of our governments and local governments think the responses will come from, but the responses, the real responses, will come from the community.
And I think that's what transition's about. It's not about sticking your head in the sand saying, oh, it's too big an issue to deal with. It's about, no, we can actually, if we get together as groups, we can actually make a difference for ourselves, and that spills out into bigger and bigger populations.
I don't know if anybody's heard of the Fife Diet Project, but we're 9 months into this local eating experiment where a group of us have been trying to eat food from Fife only for the past, it'll be a year-long project. All the journalists would sort of chuckle away and say, you know, so why are you doing this? You know, and my answer was always, why aren't you doing this?
On that whole amazing idea that we can do this ourselves, that life is actually sustainable. We can actually find what we need, grow what we need, provide ourselves with the warmth, the clothing, and the rest of the things we need ourselves. We can do it. It's possible. I think that's the biggest thing to really get our heads around, the fact that we can actually do this.
And the real answer to the question, you know, why are you doing this, is because I'm scared, and because I think we live in general in a kind of moron culture. Most of our popular culture is engaged in inanity, and I think it's beyond denial. It's at a different level than denial. And I think that you do gather strength by saying, I'm scared, and being honest with each other.
Now, climate change and peak oil, of course, aren't the problems that we face. They're only the symptoms of a much bigger problem that our system, our global systems, in fact, every system is currently unsustainable. So we've got a lot of work to do to build that resilience in our communities to weather the storms that are coming down the line.
The situation in the world's so drastic that unless you have drastic fun doing this, it's not going to work. And that's kind of the approach we've taken, which is that the process has to be fun. Unless it's fun, unless it's energizing, unless you feel good doing it, don't bother. You know, leave, in a sense. There's no point in not being basically and fundamentally an enjoyable process of community building.
There's a lot of people here who I've heard of and never actually met, so it's been fantastic for that, networking and meeting new people as well, and yeah.
I think days like this are incredible in like sustaining the energy and just like continuing the momentum. And also always new connections get made, and everybody's at a different step on the journey, so it's just good to put your mark in. It's good.
It's just nice to know that there's so many people with similar interests and ideas, and to be able to meet them and listen to them and learn from one another.
It's very inspiring. It's really great to find so many people doing such a lot of good stuff and loads of new ideas emerging.
You spend a lot of time kind of working on your own project, whereas somebody, you know, who's actually maybe working something completely different might actually hold the key to something you were looking for. So that's been actually the most surprising thing about this event.
It's an amazingly energizing opportunity to meet like-minded people and to get new and fresh ideas about how to spread Transition Town.
I'll just give a quick idea of what we've been doing in the last few months. We've been involved in a community woodlands, community allotment.
Developing an orchard, which we're moving into developing to be able to grow our own fruit.
We've got a local food project just started.
There's a couple of us involved in developing a community pub.
We managed to purchase the turbine. For the first 10 to 12 years, we should be getting between 50 and 70,000 a year. After that's been paid off, we reckon it could be as much as £500,000 a year.
Car-free days, which have been hugely successful.
Biodiesel co-op.
We've started a garden sharing project.
Over time it builds, and it's just realising that you have to start with very particular things rather than think this energy descent plan has to cover the world and we've got to do it all now. That's impossible. Just do the bit that you're really good at and see how it links up with the other parts.
It's really good to hear lots of different ideas that people are having and they're actually putting things into action, so it's quite inspiring.
The energy building for us is really good, and the ideas to steal basically. Plagiarism's great.
When you meet up with folk that are all doing stuff on the ground, it just gives you that sort of, impetus to keep going, really. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things you get out of a day like this. It just reminds you why you're doing it,
Even if you only collect a few of those ideas, it's trying to translate them into your own local ability to do something about it. Because I see this not as a sprint, this is the start of a long walk over 20 or 30 or 40 years we're doing.
It's really important for people to get support in that process. We have to do it, and we have to do it ourselves. We need the grassroots movement, because at the moment only about 5% of Scotland's population are voting for radical green stuff, but that's because they don't understand that it's little steps that people can take, and that's what this is about. The transition is about people empowering people so that they realise that they can take small steps themselves.